Whether you believe it or not, we have all heard it before, especially with the rise of the internet age. Celebrities and politicians all drink blood and worship Satan as members of the Illuminati, selling their souls for just a taste of fame and fortune. Now don't get me wrong, I understand on the face of it, that can sound completely absurd and not at all truthful. Some of you believe the mere mention of his name can give Satan power. Others find the notion of such an otherworldly being to be laughable. In my opinion, no matter what your belief system, it's extremely interesting, but also super creepy and not worth messing with. At least we can all meet in the middle and agree, famous people are weird. So today I'm going to take a deeper look into the story. I did hours of research to wade through the baseless claims and outright misinformation. However, everything we say is alleged information. Many of these stories come from first and secondhand sources, but it's not like they come with outright video footage, and I don't want to get sued. We're going to talk about the history of selling your soul for fame and even satanic rituals involving people like Sammy Davis Jr. and The Flash. Enough talk, let's get into it. Robert Leroy Johnson, born Mississippi, May 8, 1911, unfortunately passed 1938, the young age of 27, exactly the age I am as I talk about this. Robert is one of the most influential blues musicians in all of history. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame literally describes him as, quote, the first ever rock star. Now here is a heck of a title, but if you really ask yourself, how does a young man get so much done by the age of 27? This is where we get into the real meat and potatoes. You see, legend says this young man in rural Mississippi had a great desire to become the world's greatest blues musician. He grew up his whole life trying to get good at guitar. Robert played publicly at open mics, and for his family, everyone saying that he was not very good, maybe average. For Robert, this had to change. So Johnson was instructed to take his guitar to a crossroad near Dockery Plantation at midnight. There he was met by a large dark figure, the devil, who took the guitar, tuned it for him. The devil played a couple of songs and then returned the guitar to Johnson, giving him complete mastery over the instrument. He came back to his hometown after 2 years away traveling and was a completely different musician and person. He had a brand new guitar with 7 strings and played as if a lifelong master of the craft. You can still look up and listen to his music until this day. It is hauntingly eerie and hard to believe someone in their 20s was able to write and sing such beautiful and tragic music. The legend of Johnson would then go on to cement this idea throughout the music industry and eventually Hollywood. Now let's discuss some more modern artists that ended up falling into the same trap. Sammy Davis Jr. dabbled in Satanism, attending multiple gatherings hosted by the Church of Satan. In an excerpt from his 1980 memoir, Hollywood in a Suitcase, he stated, quote, "It was a short-lived interest, but I still have many friends in the Church of Satan. I say this to only show that, however bizarre, the subject, I don't pass judgment until I found out everything I can about it. People who can put up an interesting case will often find that I'm willing to convert." Just a few years later, Daryl Hall of the famous band Hall & Oates gave an interview to Penthouse magazine. And just a quick side note, yes, I read Penthouse just for the articles, do not judge me. Alright, so he was quoted as saying, quote, "Around 1974, I graduated into the occult and spent a solid 6 or 7 years immersed in the Kabbalah and the Chaldean, Celtic and Druidic traditions, and ancient techniques for focusing the inner flame. Very much so, making it seem like there was some sort of magic helping Hall & Oates with their success behind the scenes. Since then, he has, in his own words, cooled off on the occult, saying, quote, "A lot of people go through that kind of thing, and I went through it, and I retained a lot of it, and I discarded a lot of it. My life was unbalanced at the time when I was doing that." Very interesting that he makes sure to say that he retained a lot of that. Purely speculation, but it kind of makes you wonder. Let's go ahead and round this list out with the person who took my favorite superhero and choked him out at a Walmart. I shudder at this next sentence, but Flash actor Ezra Miller joins the battle. Of course, recently Ezra's made plenty of headlines for some not necessarily good reasons. Miller was involved in a couple of violent episodes, and there were some accusations that the actor was controlling a minor in addition to some other pretty terrible incidents. I have to admit, I really liked Ezra Miller as a younger actor in things like Perks of Being a Wallflower, but Hollywood ended up really getting to Ezra. Both acquaintances and close associates of Miller commented that he was verbally and emotionally abusive to those around him, and he would frequently refer to himself as either Jesus or the devil. Miller also had an altar at his home where he had women place their phones and other offerings when they arrived. Ezra also had a spiritual advisor who told him that he was the next Messiah and that the Freemasons were sending demons to unalive him. This information coming from various sources, talking to Vanity Fair. What do you think about these satanic celebs? Do you have any other celebrity topics to discuss? Please let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.